Can you see us or?
Yes, I can see you all.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
We can't see you. I just wanted to make sure you could see who was here.
Yes, I don't know why that is. Oh. Okay, I think I got it figured out. There we go.
Yay!
Okay. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you all. This is the regular meeting of the West Hartford Prevention Council. Welcome. The meeting will come to order. This is Carl Shield, Chair of the West Hartford Prevention Council. I'd like to welcome you to the virtual March 11th meeting of the council because in-person attendance of public meetings is likely to increase the risk of transmission of COVID-19. This meeting is being conducted in accordance with Governor Lamont's Executive Order number 7B, which permits municipalities to conduct public meetings virtually. Commission members and some town staff are participating by WebEx, and members of the public can access this meeting by calling 1-408-418-9388 and using access code 132-947-8725. Because of the virtual format, there are some special rules and procedures that I need to cover before we begin. These are for all the commission meetings. First, I ask that all participants please mute your devices when you are not speaking. If you wish to be recognized, please raise your hand and I will call on you. If you are participating via audio only or I do not call on you and the debate is ending, please unmute your phone and let me know so that I can recognize you. Second, pursuant to Executive Order 7B, all speakers must state their name and title each time they speak. Third, because of the difficulty in tallying voice votes on a video conference, I will require that votes be taken by roll call. Fourth, I would like to describe how the hand raising process will work. Unfortunately, our conference technology does not allow us to identify individual caller by name. So when the public comment portion of the meeting begins, which is near the very end, the moderator will randomly unmute one call in line at a time and ask everyone to state their name on one at a time. The voice that we hear will belong to the person whose line is unmuted. That person will then be recognized by the moderator and asked to restate their name and provide their street address. We will repeat this process until we have unmuted every phone line. It is very important that you state your name each time you are prompted by the moderator. If the moderator unmutes a phone line and does not hear a voice after the prompt, that phone line will be removed from the conference. I will now call the roll. Okay. Edzo.
Present.
Jonathan.
I'm here.
Bob Nacka.
Here.
Brenda is absent. She had notified me last month she would not be here this evening. Howard.
Here.
And Nordia. Not here yet? Okay. And Patty.
Here.
Okay. Good evening, all. So happy that you're here tonight. I guess the next item on the agenda is I just wanted to mention also Natalie De La Cruz emailed me and she's not present this evening also. I'd like to get a motion for the approval of the minutes of February 11th. If folks have read those, if they have any additions, deletions, corrections, or items that they wanted to bring up on those minutes. They were pretty extensive, Jonathan. As always, we did a lot of talking. If not, motion to accept the minutes as presented.
So moved. Bob Nacka.
Motion to approve. I'll second that motion. Kadzo, yay or nay?
Yay.
Jonathan, I'm assuming is a yay since he wrote them.
Yay.
And Howard.
Yay.
And Patty.
Because I wasn't present.
Okay. Then the minutes are approved. Unanimously. Unanimously, not anonymously, and unanimously combined. Okay. Then we will go on to old business, report to town council, achievements and recommendations. I believe that was circulated to everyone on the council. Did everyone get a copy of that? 2020 accomplishments.
Yes.
It had a section about the first year and its restructured formats, a section about the Amplify grant, Prevention Week activities.
This is Helen. I have two additions or edits to make to this. And this is really a lot was accomplished, Carl, in your first year. The things that I would add under the Amplify grant is that we also supported the safe grad parties at the two high schools. And we can maybe insert that as a second bullet because it sort of goes after the bridge, but before the community resource card. And then the final thing under recommendations for 2021, I would just add in under continue ongoing prevention work. When we mention the Amplify grant activities, that we would say something like particularly regarding vaping or to address vaping misuse or something along those lines, where just so that we can mention the word vaping as a focus of what this current year 2021's Amplify grants would be, just for the record.
Okay. Do you want to put a sentence in for each of those, Helen, and then redistribute it?
Yeah, I think for the safe grad one, it would just a bullet number 2 would say support safe grad parties at the two public high schools. And then under prevention work, at the very end, it would be amplify grant activities, particularly discouraging vaping use, to discourage vaping use. Is that something along those lines?
Yep.
And again, this is a document that just for the record that kind of establishes the accomplishments and the intention of the current year and the recommendations that the town council sees as important to this group.
Okay. And then we have the section about the community needs assessment and recommendations for 2021.
Right, and the changes I was suggesting were to the recommendations for 2021 to focus on vaping, not in the ones that happened last year.
Not on the Prevention Week activities.
Right, from 2020, because Prevention Week was sort of, because of COVID, we had to kind of really curtail the programs. That was it. Thank you.
Okay, can we accept this document with the edits as Helen has articulated? Can I have a motion to accept with the edits as articulated?
This is Howard. I'll make a motion to accept with the edit.
Thank you. Thank you, Howard. Could I have a second on that motion?
Second, Bob Macca.
Thank you, Bob. Let's see. Cadzo, yay or nay?
Yay.
Okay. Jonathan,
Yay.
is Nordia present? Did Nordia join us? No? Okay. And Patty?
Yay.
And Carl is yay. So unanimously approved, Jonathan. Okay. Thank you, folks. Next is the Community Wellness Coalition. and community wellness assessment, and the UCONN students report. Well, I know we've had a weekly supervisions, Suleiman, Brianna, and I, since our last council meeting, to kind of thrash out the details and move this process along. And I think it's gone very well. Suleiman and Brianna are workhorses. I would just put it that way. Despite Brianna having had some medical issues, she stuck to it nonetheless. And this is mid-semester exam week for them. So nonetheless, they put the work in to give us a report tonight on the status of our wellness assessment. There are several elements of it that I think you should know about because a great deal of progress has been made. And we're on the brink of sharing a great deal of information with the council. Suleiman and Brianna, do you want me to share some of that, or do you want to take all of it about the survey and the questionnaire? I can do the first part and you could do the second part, or however you want to split it up is fine with me.
I think Brianna could kind of talk about some of the intro stuff and getting it out because she's worked on like compiling the stakeholder list, and I'll just comment a little bit more about the actual survey. And then I think maybe you can maybe comment on the report and kind of that format of that you walked us through.
Okay.
At the end.
Good. Okay, and Brianna, you want to start with the intro letter and the stakeholder list?
Yeah, that sounds great. So what we worked on was we compiled a stakeholder list with the people who we thought would be a good resource to reach out to complete the survey, who you get the most response back and the most useful data and information from. So just to like give you a quick like rundown of a little bit of who's on it, and Astrid also helped us getting some contact information and all of that and adding a few more key stakeholders. We mainly stuck to, the school systems, fire department, police department, EMS, any mental health or substance use counseling services, and just mainly things that we thought would relate to what we're looking for in terms of data. We also are we're working on an email for an introduction right now to send out to those stakeholders and to everyone who is going to be taking the survey. That way we can just introduce ourselves, why we're working with you guys, and what we've been working on, and also what this information will help us do in terms of interventions or possible other things that we can implement into the West Hartford town. So that's just a little bit of what we've been working on in terms of getting those lists together, getting emails together to really send out, and that way we can really formulate the survey and get it done so we can get that information to really benefit the town.
Thank you, Brianna.
Yeah.
I think that sums it up.
Mm-hmm.
Suleiman, you want to talk about about the questions and survey questions themselves that you've been working on, we've been working on?
Yeah, so essentially now the survey is complete. It should take about 16 or so minutes. It's pretty heavily based upon the community readiness survey administered through CPES. So it's really a key informant survey on mental health and substance abuse. First, getting at some of the priorities that these key informants may have or identify. Some of it's asking specifically key informant, ideal. Some of it's more commenting on their understanding of what the community prioritizing. And so it's also going to cover like barriers and prevention and try to give us some key actionable steps. So we're hoping that the information that we get can directly drive some of the council's efforts in the future to kind of at least know there's some consensus with these themes are rising up. What we're hoping to kind of include before that is just kind of a compilation of some West Hartford specific data on mental health and substance abuse. And there are information out there. It's definitely taken a little bit of like weeding through to see what's the most relevant and succinct for the purposes of this council. And that's something that we're hoping to make even more robust if we're able to maybe get some West Hartford specific data from 211 or potentially from the West Hartford Bloomfield Health District. That's something that we're kind of in the process, but I know, Carl's going to talk a little bit more about the report and how we'll kind of tie in some of that stuff with what we're going to be reporting from our survey. Also, it's administered through Qualtrics if you guys are familiar with that platform.
Yeah, I think having so many of the questions closely related to Data Haven is really of a tremendous benefit, because then they're comparable to years past and other communities in Connecticut and nationally. And also in future years, they'll be able to form comparisons year to year. So for example, reduce vaping by 5%. You can look from year to year to see if that's been accomplished. Or opioid overdoses. You can look year to year and see what your focus has been and are you reaching your goals or not? That's going to be enormously beneficial for us. What has happened a great deal has been winnowing out a lot of the data that we're probably not going to include in the report and trying to focus on what we will include in the report. And the Data Haven stuff is a great deal of the central stuff, but also we're trying to be selective about the social determinants. We talked a lot about those. There's probably, I don't know, a couple hundred social determinants. And so we have to be somewhat selective about those that we think are primarily attached or figural with mental health and substance abuse. And I guess that's arguable depending on who you talk to. So we've had conversations in our little subgroup about choosing what we think are maybe the top 10 or so and including those. And because we've chosen Qualtrics, we'll be able to pop those in and have graphs about those, like transportation or income, or single parent households, or having a major medical illness, all of which we know co-occurring disorders, medical as well as psychiatric, have a major impact on a person's well-being and their success rate. Those will easily pop up, and we can see the incidence of that, not in West Hartford, so we can target our efforts on what we want to do. But we'll also identify other social determinants that will be in a glossary. So if you have a particular interest in those, you'll know where to go. Because Suleiman and Brianna have sifted through all this information, so at least you'll know where to find it if you have a particular interest because of the particular area you're working in. If it's education or social services or whatever it may be, your particular area, for whatever reason, you have a particular interest. We're hoping this will be a resource guide for you in some ways, as well as just a community assessment. So our hope is it'll serve more than one need. The first group that we want to send this out to is this council. We think you are valuable stakeholders in this process, and have your thumb on a lot of folks in the community. So you will be seeing this very shortly since the questions are finished, and our introduction letter is 98% finished. We had a couple details we talked about today, but by tomorrow or Monday it should be finished and going out. And having this go out by computer is going to be invaluable to us immediately and in the long run also. The rest of the report, the structure, in addition to these 37 or 39 questions, which should not take more than 15 or 18 minutes to complete, but it will give us a wealth of information that we've never had specific to West Hartford before, is going to have a structure of existing data from the state operated epidemiological work group website at UCONN. So we're selectively pulling data from that website, Suleiman and Brianna, and inserting it into the report. So you'll see graphs, you'll see charts. We're going to have to be selective, as I say, about which ones we think are most relevant, that you'll be most interested in. And again, referencing what's in the glossary that you may have a particular or unique interest in because it's more specific to children or adolescents or seniors. We know we can't include everything. And that'll have a lot of additional info sources. We also want to include the resources that has resources for treatment, not just resources for information, but locally and in the greater West Hartford area. And we've talked about that as a council also, trying to pull some of that together. So some of this we will be asking council members for additional information on also, because I know you folks are experts and are working in the field and know people and know this information. And in the final report, which is May 11th, also we'll have a list of our council members. And I think that's it. We also talked about perhaps having printed copies for the town council, not just an electronic copy, and thinking about how to have this available for the library if the town council wants that as an option. We don't know, but we think it's going to be valuable information, certainly for the prevention council moving forward in targeting our efforts on where do we want to go with this, since it's never been done. So that's where we're at. Suleiman and Brianna, what did I leave out?
I think you covered everything, Carl.
Oh.
I know it's a lot, but it sounds like you covered everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess that's that then. Any questions from members of the council or anything from your perspective we should be thinking of? Because we're right at the 50% mark today. Their semester is 50% over and the work is 50% done and the report is 50% here, and we have the infrastructure of that defined as of today. So if you have suggestions that you want to email, that's fine too. We're open to that. Okay. I'll take the silence as assent. Okay. Community Wellness Coalition. Oh, that's what we just did. Okay. New business. LPC Grant and Activities. Is Astrida here or?
Hi, Carl. I will be presenting tonight on
Okay.
just updates in regards. This is Jacqueline Zia Edgar, social worker and staff liaison for the West Hartford Prevention Council and social worker with the town social services department. Good evening, everyone. I will be presenting information and just providing an update on the LPC grant activities. Also, I will be presenting information on how the West Hartford Prevention Council is satisfying the initiatives of the LPC grant. Okay. The initiatives that are associated with the LPC grant are activities that focus on coalition building, capacity building, needs assessment, monitoring and evaluation, and material dissemination. The West Hartford Prevention Council is satisfying the LPC initiative requirements of coalition building and meetings just by being and fulfilling the role of the local prevention council for West Hartford. The West Hartford Prevention Council satisfies the requirement of coalition building also through its membership. The membership of the West Hartford Prevention Council represents a variety of backgrounds and fields. And so it satisfies this requirement of coalition building. And the fact that we also meet the requirements of at least 4 LPC meetings per year, we far exceed that number by meeting 10 times in a calendar year. So that's one way that we're fulfilling this. Another activity that we are focusing on to actually satisfy the requirement of capacity building is a training that will be provided to WHPC members, a vaping training to be held during one of our regularly scheduled meetings. And we have identified the June 10th meeting as this possibility. After contacting the Connecticut Clearinghouse for support, we obtained the name of a highly recommended and utilized presenter on vaping. The facilitator's name is Trisha Dow. She comes from the Yale School of Medicine. And Ms. Dow will be presenting a 30 to 45-minute vaping training. I think she leaves the last 15 minutes for questions and answers. The cost of this workshop is $50. The title is What You Need to Know About Youth Vaping, Prevention, Initiation, and Intervention. She has provided this training for numerous other prevention councils and covers the current rates of adolescent vaping. She covers the general understanding of e-cigarettes, why teens say they are using it, why we need to be concerned, and what we can do about it. She will also briefly speak on marijuana use as well. She will conclude with some intervention strategies and information on the fully remote vaping cessation program that's available at Yale University and is funded by the American Heart Association. Does anybody have any questions so far? No?
No.
Okay. And please, Astrid, feel free to interject if I'm missing anything. So the second activity fulfills the LPC initiative called Assessing Community Needs and Monitoring and Evaluation. So we are fulfilling this requirement by the project that is being spearheaded by the UCONN students and Carl as well, with the joint supervision of Miss Amy Kraus, the director of the West Hartford Bloomfield Health District. And by doing this community assessment, we are gathering information. It's been talked about before, so I'm not going to cover it too much. But I just want you to know that this activity is so important, and it is fulfilling one of the initiatives that the LPC grant has put forth in terms of assessing community needs and the monitoring and evaluation of what those needs may be. And I want to offer also that if there's any need that is associated with this particular project, please feel free to share with us because it can possibly be funded through the LPC grant money. Okay. And the third activity that satisfies the LPC initiative of capacity building is a youth workshop, which I know we talked about before. We are considering this workshop, Seeing Through the it's called Seeing Through the Vapor, Vaping Awareness for Teens. It's about a 45-minute virtual presentation to youth about vaping by a Mr. Robert Hankinson Jr. We had the wonderful opportunity of meeting with Miss Lisa Daly from the West Hartford Public School System. She is the department supervisor of physical education and health education / wellness. During our conversation with her, we came to realize that one of the options for this virtual workshop cannot be done because it involves the sharing of students' email addresses. So instead of that, there is an on-demand option in which a full-length pre-recorded version of the presentation that is password protected would be offered. And the platform can vary. We don't know yet what that platform will be, whether it's West Hartford schools or West Hartford libraries, we don't know yet, but it would be a password that would be shared with those participants who want to link in and connect and view the workshop. One of the wonderful things about this is that Mr. Hankinson offers us the ability of actually seeing, or not seeing, but at least number-wise, who is participating and accessing the workshop. So it'll be kind of anonymous because we won't know who, but that's perfect. That's what we want. And at least we can see the numbers as to who's viewing and participating in this particular workshop. We wanted to kind of coincide with the month of May during National Prevention Week, if possible. And I believe that might be scheduled for May 10th through the 14th of this year. And the price for this workshop is $1,500. So, you know, that's something that we definitely have the monies for, if so approved by the council. And also, I want to let you know that in meeting with Ms. Daly, she also suggested partnering up with the Heron Project to work with the group of students who are involved in this awesome project to make possibly a contribution for this to take place. We are also considering our final initiative of material dissemination during this particular activity, if possible. And that would mean just materials that we can identify through the clearinghouse, any bracelets, t-shirts that might be that might be used during this activity can also maybe be funded by the LPC grant. So yeah, it's really exciting, all the activities that are associated, and it's nice to see it in a written form that the West Hartford Prevention Council is satisfying these initiatives. We just have to vote on these activities and kind of approve it so we can move forward. If I've made any, if I deleted anything, please, Esther, feel free to kind of interject and add. Thank you.
I think it's a very comprehensive. Thank you, Jackie. I just wanted to mention a few things before we never have done this before, and I'm so glad that we're doing it for the first time. The activities for the local prevention council was always on the social services department kind of decision. It's something that we have been doing for many, many years, and I know that in the past it was share. This time, this year, we decided that we need to open it up more and more and more. That need to be discussed with this council, and the action should be discussed more. That's why we are recommending this for the first time. The contribution for the activity that it's being done by the community of concern and the Connor and Hall staff. It's for a speaker. It's a program that Jackie just mentioned. We will be contributing with $500 to that group because we have a limit from the grant. Just because of that, I wish we can, do more, but there's a limit on that, $500 only. So we can, in fact, we can do some of these mandated activities and the other ones we can continue to spend more of the money if we haven't. Okay, there's three ideas actually that were pending that we haven't been able to talk too much about it, but they are very important. Okay, I just wanted to mention that we have a discussion with Dr. Parham. This is the UCONN doctor, director of the head and neck surgery and the residency program. I don't know if you guys remember, there was an email about that, remember? What he was trying to do is to engage the residents from UCONN to do community activity in the community that they work and some of them where they live. So the doctors agree to do a vaping campaign, and they propose this at Hall. But for some reason, the communication was not completed. They were not connected. There was a proposed date of April. So it's not going to be able to happen. But when talking to him, he said, this can be done anytime. This can be done not only with the schools, it could be done with any population. Just help us connect with the community and we go. The residents, we can go. It can be tied to May, or the next year. This is such a great opportunity that I think we need to invest a little bit more on this. What they're trying to do is an anti-vaping campaign and outreach program. They would like the doctors again to be engaged. This is for teens, but they can adapt it to other groups. Initially, they thought to do it this year because they were tying the COVID and the additional health risk factors with the vaping. But they can adapt this program as well. There's other doctors that are involved in this project, as you saw in the email, like the chair of the pediatric at CCMC, and Dr. Patel from Hartford Hospital. Okay, so it's a big project that I think it will be worth it to take a second look without the barriers of have to do in April. Okay, so this is something to talk about outside the grant as a potential activity for the future. There's other two activities that people reminded us as an idea, and again, it's up to you. This was about May as part of the Mental Health Month awareness, and this is, I believe, was suggested by Carl and Jean. It was to bring Dr. Lane Taylor. That will talk about, it's a program for parents to identify anxiety and depression in children. And also Carol Waxman from the library reminded us that they're putting together a lot of activities. One of them is more in terms of human rights and mental health, and it's called Should I Teach My Child to See Color? And it's done by Kenya Rutland from KJR Consulting. So we were wondering if some of these activities, if somebody from one of the members is willing to take a second look, help us see if they might be something that we can help fund and include as part of the grant, and also weave them in the prevention week or start something early for next year. It's a lot of work though.
This is Patty Graham. I'd be happy to help out and take a look.
Thank you, Patty.
I just wanted to add finally that we're very excited to support. This year we'll not be able to support the Safe Grad because of the vaping constrictions, etc. But we would like to, and we're going to send an email to, and Jackie did mention, some of the materials we have to, one of the requirements is disseminate materials. We were thinking about the wristbands. Some of them are interactive, that some of the children can also plug in and have some information, etc., about prevention, mental health. I remember, Chris, Jonathan, last year, he was able to find so cool ones. And if we can, and if the schools want us to use this as a potential, material, we can do that as well.
Okay. Great. Okay. Anyone else? I know, Patty, I said I would help you with an activity in May also. We could do a QPR activity with the library, perhaps.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Carl, this is Melissa Hickey at Hall High School. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Dr. Parham had originally reached out to Hall asking about the vaping campaign. I had given him Jackie's cell phone number on January 15th, and he said he had reached out. So, Jackie, I just wanted to make sure that you ended up connecting with him. It sounds like there's been connection from what Astrid's saying regarding moving forward. Perfect. He was excited about what the West Hartford Prevention Council was doing. You had mentioned vaping the day that we received his email. So we were hoping that that partnership would work out.
Oh, great. Good. We like to hear people getting excited about projects. That's a good thing.
You know, we're finding out something about this, you know, from where is the communication coming and going, and there's so much richness, and we are so busy in. So we are finding out that Lisa from this West Hartford Public Schools, it should be the first contact when this wonderful people wanted to do something in the schools. We will not. It's very difficult for us to penetrate this. Now, we do cover everybody, every children, not only the public schools, but everybody, the private as well. So then we should use the PTOs. They have also, or the groups that are forming. So there's so many ways of reaching that I think it's important to remind ourselves that, oh, okay, if it's something related to what he's proposing, it could be something done at the curriculum, but that have to be very, very well planned ahead, and that should be with Lisa. If there's something else, maybe the PTOs, etc. But we're also learning our mistakes, you know, sometimes in, you know, who can do first, you know, and who can be able to achieve certain things.
Yeah, and I think we often, you know, we work in different kinds of bureaucracies, so communications can happen at different levels, and it's oftentimes to find the right level of communication in the other bureaucracies. So you have to kind of put out feelers to find out who's the right one I have to talk to there. And even though the title may sound like the right one, it might not be the right one. So having worked for the state, I found that out the hard way. But I'm glad to hear that the communications are occurring to have these activities happen in the school system. Okay, anything else on this topic? If not, we'll go on to the public comment, or unless there's anything else from council members. Is our moderator present? Andrea?
I'm here.
Do we have any phone calls?
The only phone call was Brianna.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, well, I guess that's it for this evening then. Lovely seeing you all, and we will see you in April. Have a good evening.